Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm not outside Old Trafford. I'm not in the studio. I'm in the kitchen. We are live talking about all the latest Manchester United news. So make sure you're getting involved in the chat and the comments. We're going to be talking about the new stadium, a bit of an update on that, how it's being funded, all the rest of it. Also, we'll be talking about some potential outgoings in the summer. One potential incoming in Jadon Sancho, which is a bit of a weird one. I know he's not technically incoming because he's already a United player, but you get what I mean. Also, as well, we're going to be getting into all the latest injury news as well, because I had a little bit of update on some bloke called Mason Mount. You remember him, don't you? Well, it looks like he's back in training. So make sure you're hitting that like button, get involved in the chat, and let us know what you think about all those stories. First things first, though, let's be honest, right? Manchester United are what? 14th in the Premier League. We're not in the Champions League. We're in the Europa. We're out of the FA Cup. We're out of Carabao. But we can still laugh at Liverpool getting knocked out of the Champions League at Anfield on penalties to PSG. Let's just take a moment. Come on. It was funny. I don't care how bad United are. I will always laugh at the Scousers getting beat. It was hilarious because wasn't that long ago, if you remember, there was all this talk of a treble, wasn't there? Oh, Slot's a genius. He's going to win the treble in his first season. Then it was they got knocked out of the FA Cup by Plymouth. Oh, well, they're going to focus on the Champions League and the league. They're going to do the double anyway, or a different kind of treble if they win the Carabao. Now it's all about the league. It's all about title number 20. Funny that, isn't it? Because not long ago, it was all about the treble. Then it was about how you're going to win the Champions League, and now it's just about the league. Unfortunately, they are going to win the league. Even I'm not that deluded to think otherwise, but we can still laugh at them getting beat on penalties last night. It was hilarious. That famous Anfield atmosphere didn't quite step up, did it? Strange that. Loads of people in the chat, in the comments already. Santa Notch, good to see. I bet Notch was loving that. What doesn't kill you says, morning, Jay. Isn't it funny how a draw against Arsenal and a new stadium announcement can make everything feel better? No, just me. Do you know what? I like that. What doesn't kill you? Because it sounds mad saying that, doesn't it? Because I feel like we've had so much bad news as United fans and so much drama and so much to moan about that when there is something positive, we almost don't want to believe it, do we? Or we don't want to enjoy it. And I felt that after the Arsenal game. I know I'm going on about this quite a lot, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. Went to the game, took my kids. We got there really early because we were going to go to the protest, obviously. But my lad was a bit funny about the crowds at the protest. So we went into the stadium a bit early, watched the game. And they enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed it. Loved Bruno's free kick. I enjoyed it. The atmosphere was mint. Yes, it was annoying. We went ahead and then they equalised. But Arsenal is second. We're 14th. As a game of football, that's second half, really, because the first half was pretty poor. As a game of football, it was exciting. It was enjoyable. I left Old Trafford feeling pretty positive. I know it's only a point against Arsenal, but look at what Manchester United have been doing this season. So that was a positive day for me. Then you go to the interview with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And I watched it. I watched the Gary Neville one and the Dan Rowan one. And I thought, okay, some of what I say he's saying makes a lot of sense. Some of it, I'm still a bit like, we'll wait and see. I got enough from it to think I'm prepared to listen to I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt on certain things, or at least be patient with him to see if these things that he's promising or these things that he's the moves that he's making comes to fruition. But I don't think that was necessarily a massive positive as such. It was just the fact that at least the co-owner was giving an interview and explaining himself, which is some of the Glazers never did. But then we had the stadium announcement. I think that was a positive. 100,000 seat stadium. Anyone who watches this channel will know my views on the stadium. I love Old Trafford for what it means to me. I've had some amazing moments there for the last 4 years. 4 years ago, I made my debut at Old Trafford as a fan, obviously. And I've seen United lift title after title. I've had so many great nights. And listen, I don't want to be like, oh, I go to United and I've had so many great times at Old Trafford. You can have had those moments just from watching it on the telly or on a laptop, whatever. Just the atmosphere at Old Trafford. You get that. But I'm just telling you my honesty, my truth, sorry. That I've had so many top moments at Old Trafford that it'll be sad for us to leave there. But I am sort of honest and aware and logical about where the stadium is at, and it's falling apart. It's not fit for purpose. And I've been saying it for a little while now. We need to move. We need to move to a new stadium. And the history of Manchester United will come with us to the new stadium. And looks like that's going to happen. The plans have been unveiled for 100,000 seat stadium right near where Old Trafford is. I quite like that. Traveling to the same sort of area, still having that feel. I think they're going to call it New Trafford, but we'll all call it Old Trafford because that's how we do. So I'm looking forward to that. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Yeah, I think there's reasons to be cheerful. I mean, it's not like United are flying. and everything's great. But there has been a few little green shoots, as they say. Sorry, whenever I'm doing these comments on this laptop, it's always a bit of a nightmare. Right, let's get into some of this. Darren Cox says PSG have become a good football side since they stopped the Neymar and co signings. I agree with that. I think they've listen, Neymar and Mbappe and all that wonderful, amazing players, but they sort of went. It's almost like they went a bit overly turbo with it all, wasn't it? Do you remember they had that window when it was like Messi, Donnarumma, Ramos, Ronaldo? There was loads. I'm missing a few as well, but they bought loads of, and it didn't quite work in the way they wanted it to. It's like you thought, this is it now. We're going to win the Champions League, and obviously they've never. I think they've been to one final, and that was before that window where they didn't really turn up against Bayern Munich. Maybe this time it could be their year. Sounds very scams, but listen. I've not really got much of a dog in the fight in the Champions League. I would rather anyone. Arsenal's still in it, aren't they? Than Arsenal. But other than that, I'm not really bothered. Sorry, man123 says Ineos deserve credit. Glazers sold them a sitting duck with a club, running out of cash, yet they're making the unpopular decisions to turn the ship around, including a state-of-the-art stadium complex. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. I mean, you might agree with that. I get your point. I want to see. My sort of thing is a bit of patience. Let's see. I'm not too happy with some of the decisions, but I understand them, even though I don't agree with them. Let's see where we end up. JB says, morning, Jay. I can't wait for the new stadium. It'll help usher in a new era. We did a video on the live on the stadium yesterday, me and Joseph, when the news broke. But let me know what you think. You can chat about anything. Reds, pause, punk. Chelsea have an obligation to buy. He can't come back, can he? All right, let's get into the Jadon Sancho one, because that's a good question. Because I didn't think he could, but it seems like he can. So there's a story in the Mirror had it and the Mail had it. Now it says here, Jadon Sancho, this was from last night, this came out. Jadon Sancho's Man United future takes huge twist as hidden Chelsea transfer clause emerges. Talks about him joining United, joining Chelsea. They will pay a fee. It says here, the winger secured an exit from Old Trafford last summer with a deal agreed where so long as Enzo Maresca's side finish 14th or higher in the Premier League, they will pay a fee of 22 to 25 million to the Red Devils. Chelsea are in the contention for the Champions League football and a late season plunge into the bottom half of players unlikely, with the West London club 15 points clear of United, who currently, ironically, occupy 14th place. So Chelsea are not going to finish 14th. They're not. Like, even if they had an absolutely horrendous last bit of the season, they're not going to lose that many games. They've got too many good players, and they seem to be okay and challenging near the top end of the table rather than the bottom end. So I don't see that happening. However, the reason that there's this talk of Jadon Sancho returning is there's a clause apparently. So it says here, I think if you go to there's an article in the Mail where it says, however, confidential. Confidential is the Man United Confidential is like the Mail Plus article. Says has learned that there is still a possibility that Sancho could end up back at Old Trafford this summer if Chelsea decide not to go through the deal. Although we can reveal it would cost what insiders say is a significant penalty to pull out under the terms of their agreement with United. Chelsea are believed to be looking at a number of wingers this summer, including exciting Real Betis talent Jesus Rodriguez. Another issue could be Sancho's contract with Chelsea. Players often agreed terms with their new club before joining on loan with a view to a permanent move. So it's understood but it's understood the 24-year-old has yet to do so. Now, the reason this is coming out and the reason there's a lot of talk about this is Sancho's form has been pretty shocking. Statman Dave did a post. When was it? It was last week, I think, or 5 days ago. And it was Sancho had gone 10 consecutive matches without registering a goal or an assist. It was Morecambe, Bournemouth, Wolves, Man City, West Ham, Brighton again, Villa, Southampton, and Copenhagen. He'd gone all those games without registering any goals or assists, which is pretty shocking. I just want to make sure that's up to date though before we move on, because when was the last? What did he have the weekend? Chelsea, was he involved in anything? Then he might have been. Let's have a little bit of a butcher's hook here and see if there's anything where he sort of improved on that. Sorry, I know this is great. No, he played against Leicester. They won, but he didn't get a goal or assist. So he's having a bad spell of it, isn't it? And I've seen some Chelsea fans turning against him. I remember after, I think it was the first Brighton game, he was getting pelters online where they were saying, why have we got him? What have we brought him in for? He can't be bothered. And he's done this a few times, Jadon Sancho. He has like a bright start, He did it at Dortmund to a certain degree. He had a good start. Then he had a bit of a lull. Then he had that game against PSG in the first, the semi-final first leg, I think it was, of the Champions League. Or was it the quarters or the semis? I can't remember. I think it was the semis, where he was pretty phenomenal and got player of the match. And it was like, oh, he's been amazing all the time he's at Dortmund. And I thought he hasn't, because he was getting quite a lot of criticism for a big chunk of the time he was there. The second time around, not the first time around, where he was amazing. So now he's gone 10 games without goal and assist. And you look at the caliber of some of those opponents as well. And these are games where Chelsea have won. You know, a lot of these games Chelsea have won. Look at this, you know, Southampton 4-0, West Ham 2-1, Wolves 3-1. So they've had some wins, and he's not really been involved in that. I mean, I know you don't only get a goal or have to get a goal and assist when you win, but it's not like Chelsea have had games where no one's turned up. They've had games where they've scored a load of goals and people have turned up, but he's just not been one of them. Let me know what you think. Kevin Aitchen says, wow, Sancho not giving 100%. What a surprise. It's as if United aren't always the problem. I am massively, massively disappointed with Jadon Sancho and what happened with United. I honestly thought he could have done something special at United. You look at the form he was in at Dortmund. It was like, I think, Lionel Messi numbers, wasn't it? Was it like 39 goal involvements or something in like 40 games or something like that? It was literally a goal involvement every game, basically. It was around those numbers. It might have been slightly, it might be 36 and 39 or whatever, but he was absolutely on fire. He helped them win a trophy, helped them get into the top 4, into the Champions League. He played so well in that team. And you thought, okay, coming to Manchester United, this could be the one for us. This could be the player that sort of kicks us on. We finished second, I think, didn't we, in all these last season, and got to the Europa League final. Hopefully getting someone like Jadon Sancho can take us to the next level. Plus we bought in Rafael Varane. Plus we bought in some bloke called Cristiano Ronaldo. And it just didn't happen. It didn't. Flattered to deceive. And listen, I have a default setting sometimes when everyone is hating on a United player, and he's still a United player, I want to defend them, I want to stick up for them. I get a bit like, I find it a little bit distasteful when everyone's piling on. And I have that sort of, I don't know, maybe it's just ingrained where it's like, hang on a minute, let's just stop. I know it's not the same, but it's like Rasmus Højlund now. I'm like, all right, let's just slow down with it. Like, he's going through a spell. He's having a bad time of it. He's lost his confidence. Let's try and get behind him. And I know I might have criticised him in the past. I'm not saying I haven't, but I just mean when it gets a little bit OTT, you think, hang on. But Jadon Sancho, it's difficult to defend him because this should be a move that gets him going again. And it hasn't, because it's not his lack of talent. So what is it? Is he unhappy? Can he not be bothered? Is it the system? I don't know. He's getting opportunities. He's getting games. And he's shown he can do it at Chelsea. There was a spell where he was scoring goals and getting assists. And now it's just like he's done what he did at United. He's fell off again. It just, I like that, Kenny. Nah, F-U-C-K, the lot of them, Jay. I like that. Hit that like button, please, people. Please, I don't know. I can't see on here how many likes we've got, but we've not got enough, have we? We can always have more likes. More likes. We need more likes. Should we talk about the stadium as well? I'm going to get into some other bits and pieces, but let's talk about the stadium. So I'm sure you're all aware that Manchester United have announced they're going to have a new 100,000-seater stadium that's been designed by architect Lord Foster. Now, there's an article here, I think it's in the Mail. It says, revealed, taxpayers' cash will be used to kickstart Man United's $2 billion new Trafford as fan groups and politicians express concerns with the project. So, spoke about the unveiling of the stadium and what it's going to look like and all the rest of it. And then it says millions of pounds of public money will help enable the $2 billion rebuild of Old Trafford. Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham's office defended use of public funding, saying the plans would unlock a wider scheme, which would be the biggest urban regeneration since the 2012 Olympics. But obviously, there's been a lot of pushback. Some former Tory leader Ian Duncan Smith's weighed in. He's not happy. I don't really care what he's got to say. There's a quote here from the 1958 quoted in the Mail. It says the 1958, which organised a demonstration at the weekend where thousands of fans turned up to a league match against Arsenal dressed in black in protest at the ownership by the Glazer family and Ratcliffe, described the new design as a generic, soulless corporate structure more akin to a modern entertainment venue than a football cathedral. I love that. Football cathedral. The $2 billion project, set to take 5 years, also comes after United announced 200 job losses and axed free meals for staff. Yeah, it does seem a little bit strange that you've got one thing going on here where you're axing staff and you're saying you can't have free meals and all the rest of it. And Jim Ratcliffe was saying we would have been absolutely run out of money by Christmas, and then you're announcing a new stadium. But we've seen, the devil is in the details. We see that there's going to be a bit of investment here. There's going to be funding for it, private investment, all the rest of it. I'm just waiting to see how that looks. I think we still need to see a little bit more detail in just how it is going to be funding. Is this going to be more debt? We've got an interview with Kieran Maguire, who did speak about more debt, up on the channel. Go and check that out because he's far more experienced, educated, well-versed to talk about such matters than I am. But it seems like there will be some taxpayers' money going to at least the infrastructure around New Trafford, as it's being called. Darren Cox says, what do you guys that live in Manchester think of the whole area being redeveloped? I quite like that idea. I like the idea of redevelopment. I said this, we've got a video coming out later today off the bat, and I spoke about it then. And I think that it can be a positive thing when an area is redeveloped and regenerated. I just don't want to see it sort of become gentrified where working class families and people that live there have moved out. Now, I know that most of the area is there aren't houses there anyway. I think a lot of it is Trafford Park. But if you are going to regenerate the housing area near Old Trafford as well, then that needs to be a positive for the people that live there. I don't just want to see them get priced out or they get to a point where they think, oh, right, I can't, we may as well sell our house and move or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see there how that looks. But I'm all for regeneration. I remember when they started building Media City. Yes, I am that old. And there was a lot of pushback there. We don't need that. We don't need the BBC coming to Manchester. We don't need a new bit of Salford doing up. I like the Keys as it is. And you look at Media City now, and I think it's pretty fantastic. So change always comes with a bit of resistance, but I think it can be a positive. Amira Mahana says, do we like the new stadium, guys? It's growing on me. Yeah, I'm going to say that. When I first saw the design, I was like, it's going on me a little bit. I'm still a bit like not overly keen, but by the time it's built, hopefully I'll be on board. Andy 101, Jay, why don't they put the capacity to 125? Surely that could be filled every match day and having the vanity of being the biggest stadium in Europe. I'm all for that. I'm all for a bit of vanity. Yeah, why not? I think Joe was saying, why don't they make it like 102, 103 or whatever, so that it's 100,000? Because usually when it's, say you've got 100,000 capacity, for the announcement in the stadium, it'll be like, today's capacity, attendance, is 99,000 or 98,000. He wanted it to say 100,000. So should they make it a little bit bigger? I think it's going to hold 103,000 technically, but the capacity for the seats will be 100,000. I would love it if it was a little bit bigger. Said that before. Hey, none of that. Yes, Ben Gregg says, have you already covered the Jadon Sancho story? Yes, we have. Another sort of side to not the Jadon Sancho story, but there's another part of it is that United are going to have a big exodus in the summer. I think it's about 8 players who could be going, and Marcus Rashford could be going for a cut price. Apparently, he could be going for as low as 20 million. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him at Aston Villa. They can get him for 40 million. I think they're paying 75% of his wages at the minute. He's done well at Villa in terms of assists. I think he's had quite a few assists. I don't think he's scored yet, has he? Forgive me, I'm missing it. So, whilst he's done well, I think there's still an element of, okay, are they going to go for him in the summer? I don't think it's set in stone they will. Looking more likely than unlikely. But if they don't, then United might have to sell him elsewhere. And the talk is that he could go for as low as 20 million. I'm saddened by that. Whether you like Marcus Rashford or not, I like Marcus Rashford. I just think it is time for him to move on. The fact that he could go for 20 million is pretty shocking, really, isn't it? Also, this exodus, the players being name-checked. He says here about players that were name-checked by Sir Jim Ratcliffe as being costly or overpriced or underachieving or whatever, were Anthony Casemiro, Rasmus Højlund, Andre Onana, and Lisandro Martinez. And it also says here, while Martinez and Onana might have reason to feel a little aggrieved, United are likely to take a big hit this summer as they look to refresh a squad full of expensive stars on big salaries. Yeah, I think we do need to sell a lot of players. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo, by the way, should be one of them. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let me know if you agree. There's talking that maybe Kobbie Mainoo could be going. I hope not. Keep Kobbie. Leo Hoddle says, my grandmother shouldn't forgo her cold weather payment to pay for United's new stadium. Typical Labour filth. Very political. I'm not averse to political comments. Don't get it twisted here, though, Leo. Don't let anyone confuse you that the reason that the cold weather payments have been stopped is because United's new stadium. I agree. Yeah. Your grandmother shouldn't have to forego her cold weather payments. But I think there's a million other ways that can be stopped. I mean, stopping those payments can be stopped. I mean, those payments can carry on. And the same with the 2-child cap on child benefit as well. Let's not get into it all because we'll be all day. You know me, I'm very left wing. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, I am. Slightly left wing. I think very left wing is a bit of a stretch. I'm quite capitalist at times as well. But don't get it twisted that this is why that's happening. I think there's a million things that the government could do to stop those things, but maybe we'll save that for another podcast because I don't want to lose everyone. We'll get into a debate about politics because people will get annoyed or we'll end up out arguing. Yeah, we're going to have a bit of an exodus. I think it's needed. I think we do need to do that, and it'll be interesting to see which players do go. I want to just talk quickly about Mason Mount because I saw a tweet by I think was it Laurie Workwell, our mate. He says here Mason Mount is returning to team training after 12 weeks out with a hamstring injury. Real Sociedad game expected to be too soon, but close to being back playing. Mason Mount would fit beautifully into this system, wouldn't it? Into Ruben Amorim's system. But he's just injured all the time. And I do wonder whether we have to cut our losses with Mason Mount. I do. Because he's just never fit, is it? I hope he comes back. I hope he smashes it. I want all Manchester United players to smash it at the club, obviously. But I just feel like we might end up reassessing it in the summer and going, it's not really happening for him. Who knows, though? We'll see. There's still a big chunk of the season left. Hopefully, he can play a part in it. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. We're going to be back later on today. We've got me and Joe Smith. We're going to be on the live late tonight. I think that's about 10 o'clock. Late shift in it for me. Been a long day, me, I've already done the school run, been to the gym, proper on it. I've done the school now. I do it about once a week, if that. So it is a bit of a long one, but I'm hoping you're going to join us all for it. Plus, we'll have agree or disagree about 7 o'clock too. And I think we've got Off the Bar coming out at 4. So it's all happening on this channel. Plus, we've got that Kieran Maguire interview that's already up, so you can go and check that out. Plus, we've got all the reactions to the new stadium and the Sir Jim Ratcliffe interview, so go and check that out as well. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.